Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, correct.
Well, welcome to Must Be Nice. I am your host, Evan Mumford, and this is episode 12. This is a big one. This is a great episode because it's going to, number one, it's going to feature my friend TJ Rye, who's bringing 90s sitcoms to the city, which I think is a really cool thing. And also, the clip you heard at the start of the episode, I'll go into that in a bit. I had a great weekend. I did a house show with my band Off the Clock. I was playing drums. It was the best time ever. And the music tonight is from a band that played, Crom Dam. And they were one of the coolest bands I've seen in a really long time. So I wanted to play one of their songs at the end of this episode called Reptile Telepathy. I'd also like to shout out Tricky Trivia, which is the new trivia show I'm doing with my friends Dan Duvall, who you know from a previous episode of Must Be Nice where he brought Wrathball to the city. And it also features my friend Evan McDonald, who you know from the podcast, because he is kind of more or less a recurring theme at this point almost. We did a trivia show last night at Darcy's Pub in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. It was really fun. We have a lot of kinks to work out. For example, we didn't read the trivia answers, which was upsetting to most, but it was a blast of a night. Everyone had fun. Evan McDonald was a true sport. He dressed up as like a weird science fiction deli person. It was weird. It was so fun. The next one should be Wednesday, July 4th, actually. So that's going to be a fun, probably America themed, very weird trivia night. Please go. So before we get started on this episode with TJ, I wanted to kind of preview a clip of something that I recorded way back in 2011 or 12. It might have been 12. And this is kind of foreshadowing a future episode I have. I do want to do a comedy episode. I do want to get the right person for it, so I'm kind of waiting on that. But I have all this previous material. In university, I went to Mount Allison University in New Brunswick. Beautiful university. Peter Mansbridge was our chancellor or counselor or whatever that word is. What happened for me was I got really into comedy. I mean, I've always loved stand-up comedy, but for a few years, mostly throughout my whole university experience, I was just obsessed with stand-up comedy and kind of knowing the history of it. And I was really eager to learn about it. I've always had weird interests. I used to run a Nirvana message board as a kid, where I even got the chance to interview Pat Smear, from Nirvana and the Germs and the Foo Fighters. So when I get these interests, they tend to occupy a lot of my time. So for a couple years, I was going to start a college radio show all about stand-up comedy, and I was really into it, but it never happened. But I still interviewed a few comics with like I paid for this phone app, so that's where the quality is awful. I just recorded everything directly from the phone. But this comedian, Mike Kaplan, I had seen the previous summer at Just for Laughs in Montreal, where he had opened up for Patton Oswalt, who was like my favorite. And Mike Kaplan opened for him, and I was able to email him, and he was nice enough to do this interview. It was only supposed to be like 5-10 minutes. I just asked him some nerdy questions like, how did you start stand-up and that kind of thing. But it ended up lasting an hour, a little over an hour. He was a very, very nice person, and he gave a lot of his time. There's a lot of cringy moments. In the comedy episode, I'll play a few more segments of it, but I started this episode tonight with a little glimpse of how that interview started. Just very awkward. I was very nervous. I think what we'll do first, though, is I'll play the theme song I had actually recorded for this college program I was going to do. Recorded it in like 2011 with GarageBand, and I'll play that first. Then we'll go into the Mike Kaplan interview, and then we'll bounce right to Must Be Nice, featuring tonight's guest, TJ Rye. Please enjoy. Thank you. Must Be Nice.
Narrative where people are like, once I started being honest, that's when my comedy really started hitting, really started nailing it. And but that's not the case for everybody. Like some people, and so I was like, I'll be the first comedian. I'll be like, man, I hope if I get gigantic, I'll be like, well, they're like, what was it that changed you? I was like, it was when I stopped being honest.
Yeah, I know Jimmy Pardo had said something like that, where he wasn't himself on stage, but once he became himself on stage, everyone liked him more. You hear that a few times for sure.
Sure, I mean, and I'm not saying that narrative is not valid or accurate or valuable to some people, but take somebody like Lewis Black, who I think has the exact opposite, where in real life he is the nicest guy, and then he goes on stage and yells about politics, but also about bottled water, about whatever. I haven't listened to his most recent stuff, but I know. He said he was like doing it for maybe 10 years, and he was talking about things, but not yelling about. And he's like, I think he had a friend who was like, I'm yelling about stuff that I shouldn't be yelling about. He's like, you're talking about stuff that you should be yelling about. And then so he's like, no, so maybe I'm oversimplifying or paraphrasing something that I heard in an interview, but I know he wasn't yelling his whole career, and then he started doing it, and he's like, and he's definitely super not. He's not like that's not. Honestly, Lewis Black 100% of the time, obviously. Exactly. Like, so his career did take off when he stopped being, the person that he potentially was.
Yeah. No, man, that's perfect. I would just like to return quickly to
sure.
You're talking about the subjectivity of art. What?
If you want to go to a movie tonight, there's really just one restriction. Cause if you want to go to a movie, girl, give me science fiction. Science fiction. Give me science fiction. Science fiction. Give me science fiction.
Hello, citizens. This is your mayor speaking, and I am doing fantastic. I'm doing so good. I was just sitting next to the grazing horse, spent a couple hours next to this horse, and we had a great time. Then I went down to the brewery, had a bunch of beer, and I feel amazing. I'm going to let you guys in a little secret, because you guys deserve to know. You're my citizens, you want to know this stuff. You keep asking me. Everyone's asking me. Here's the deal. I'm getting the shipment. The shipment of food that you really want is on its way. Yes, we are enjoying gardening. Everyone's, we got a couple green thumbs apparently in the city, which is something I never respected before, but you guys are doing the work for us, which is really good. We enjoy the chickpeas. Shipment is coming very shortly, so that's all I'm going to say for now about that. Right now, I'm in such a good mood. I have my friend from the old world, TJ. He's going to come in, and he's going to bring us something that he thinks will be valuable to the city. I'm excited for it, personally. I'm having such a great day. I don't really know how this place can get better. We're kind of in good spirits. I like every single person, except for maybe Jonas. I don't really care for Jonas. But comparing myself to the old world, this is a good ratio. Out of, 51 people, I don't like one? That's quite a statistic, And I think we should all be proud of that. So I'm really curious to hear what my friend TJ is going to bring. He says he can make this place a little bit better. We will see. Welcome, TJ. Come on in. TJ, how are you?
I really want to thank you for having me on here. I really think that there's something important here that we need to go over. And
you were ecstatic. You were like, Evan, I've got it. I've got utopia.
There's not many times I am ecstatic.
I've never seen you smile. I've never seen your eyebrows move.
I really have no emotion in general. But today, for some reason...
You feel good about this one?
There's something sparked.
Buddy, what are you bringing?
Well, I feel like there's a real importance around 90s sitcoms that a lot of people...
We're going to stop you right there. Sorry, 90s sitcoms.
That's what I'm bringing to the table.
Hey, you're the guest. I've been shocked before. Maybe I'll be shocked again. 90s sitcoms.
You know what? It's an untouched ground that we need a little bit exploring.
Okay, define to all my listeners, what is a 90s sitcom?
I feel like 1989 is technically almost 1990.
That's right.
Because it's half the year spent preparing for 1990. So I feel like we can, it's almost a plus minus of about 10 to 11 years. Because there's a development phase. Mm-hmm. And then there's an implementation phase, and there's a growth phase. And the growth phase is the one that I really want to...
The growth phase. Now, Are you bringing 90s sitcoms to me as a culture? Do you think it's important for culture? Is it important for law? What's it going to bring? Why do we need this?
Well, I think that's the reason why we should bring it up, is that it touches on all those categories.
Okay.
Yeah. With the the one thing about 90s sitcoms is that everybody looks at them individually and not together. Mm-hmm. Is that, for me, I was, born in the 92, grew up on every single sitcom. I watched TV more than I did anything else.
Right.
I was severely obese.
Yes.
Yes, severely obese. So it was just, any type of Fresh Prince with a handful of Cheetos and at least a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Give me some famous examples of a 90s sitcom. What's a 90s sitcom?
Well, you know what? I want to bring it back because the one thing about the 90s sitcoms here is that we have to start from the beginning. We have to start from 1990, 89 to 90.
We're talking Saved by the Bell, Miss Daisy.
Saved by the Bell is exactly right on the nose there, my friend. I don't know how did you do that?
I grew up watching Saved by the Bell.
Oh, you look like a Zach Morris.
Do I?
I was going to say Screech, but Zach Morris came out of my mouth.
Both of those are complimentary. I've been told my whole life I look like Bayside High.
When I look back on the first type of clothes I'm wearing here, and it's acid wash jeans with those cut off shirts, but actually, I stayed away from the Zach Morris look and more to the AC Slater look.
Right.
Jerry curl.
Yep.
With a thin beater and the tightest of pants, obviously for the ladies.
He did wear tighter pants than he should have, because that was in the era maybe of crisscross.
Oh, yeah.
He took crisscross's backwards pants and he did that with chairs.
Oh,
him and the chairs.
I always wondered how much grease was in AC Slater's hair, because it was dripping.
Yeah,
shoulder to shoulder.
That's right. I mean, that's actually Mario Lopez's kind of.
Oh, that's his.
That's his general.
That's
demeanor. Is a kind of
that's fair.
There's too much.
A little bit grease.
There's too much. Yeah. There's this little spice to it. I've always liked Saved by the Bell. You got to wonder about that school though. What did it teach us? Did it teach us good things?
I don't know. I try to look back on the fundamental lessons, and it was that making fun of friends still happens, but you have to say sorry after.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's okay to, apparently, in your own friend group, experiment with all the different friends that you have.
There was a
crisscross of different types of relationships.
Remember Toadie or Toby? There's punk chick who showed up after Kelly quit the show. She rolls up in a motorcycle.
And she's like, hey, Zach, what's going on?
But she's hanging out with Screech. Screech would never hang out with somebody with a motorcycle.
No, he can't do it. He needs his inhaler.
Dude, I think Saved by the Bell was the first Jersey Shore.
Oh, it was. That was my sec part. Yeah. He was like, where are the cabs at?
Yeah, he was the situation for sure. Screech was Snooki's brain.
Oh yeah, but no, definitely with Saved by the Bell, there was lessons to be learned. Now, if we look back on the lessons, how valuable were they?
Give me one.
One was one of the most claimed episodes ever was going back to, I believe, the 3rd season. Mm-hmm. Don't quote me on this because nothing can be or fact checked. Jessie in particular was in a tough time in her life in which she was juggling multiple tasks. One being, being a part of a all-girl band. Another being, studying for the SATs.
And third, of course, trying out for the juggling team.
Oh, of course, juggling was a part of that. Yeah. And then there's a time in which she turned to an aid, and this aid was not of human nature, in the sense of it being medication. She took speed.
It was straight up speed. I remember this.
Yeah, she took speed. She took speed to move along and got everything done, but she was completely erratic, and it took over her life. And there was a big whole aha moment that Zach climbs through her window because they're best friends, and he says, "Look, you're doing this fucked up." And everybody, everybody turned, and they all looked at her and said, "Yo, you need help." And then, boom. Like 2 seconds later, she's ready to go and she's all good again.
So lesson learned being you need to have friends who are good at climbing in. Why is everyone climbing in windows in these 90s sitcoms? Can we talk about that?
You know what? Apparently, walking through a door like a civilized person, taking your shoes off, introducing yourself to the family, saying, hello, how are you yourself doing? That's not a part of a wholesome, we're not trying to go in that direction. We're saying, let's forget about saying hi to everybody else. Fuck everybody downstairs.
Keep her shoes on kind of situation.
I'm going to climb a tree, almost kill myself because, I'm gangster like that. Jump through the window that clearly she probably doesn't want me jumping through, and just, decide to make it my place.
Just kind of every 90s sitcom, I feel like I'm picturing Roseanne like jumping through windows now.
Well, you're in the wrong area because definitely Roseanne was not climbing. I'm pretty sure 90% of Roseanne was her on her couch.
That was Roseanne.
Even the ending, spoiler alert, even the ending of Roseanne, she ends up on her couch. It's like, do you not have a bed?
Dude, Roseanne was like a Shakespearean tragedy.
Oh my God.
The hope and the light it gave you that this woman's life turned out beautifully. And then just to twist your heartstrings at the end. Oh wait, it's actually like low key one of my favorite. It was all a dream things.
There was like 2 or 3 times where you're like, I'm about to cry in Roseanne here.
I feel like they handled like the drug stuff. Like, that was another trope. Every 90s sitcom, like Home Improvement. Remember, his son became a goth and like smoked hash or something. What is the fascination with this?
I don't know. I think what the thing about the 90s was is they wanted to really show that everyone was different. It was going, like, I think in the point in time in like culture is that it was such a taboo time around culture about being different. Like, think about homosexuality during that time. Think about like being colored at that time. Think about just having an opposing view compared to the general norm. And like it just was, that's where everything was. And I'm not saying it was perfect, but that's where it was introduced. Is like, okay, now we have to be looking at other stuff.
That
now
is
we have to
interesting.
be more open to stuff.
What sitcoms, like you mentioned, like I don't know, there's the Roseanne, like pretty ultra white, kind of white problems. Then you mentioned there might be a show like not Fresh Prince, which is black culture.
There was. You know what the one thing about Fresh Prince is that Fresh Prince was awesome because it gave you a little bit of both. Like, it gave you a taste of like Western white and like a taste of like suburban like.
Well, that's what's so great about it. They could go through like Carlton's character to introduce everyone to this crazy
it's like
white world.
Huge, like ironic situation, like the biggest like taste of ironic like. But like the best part about it is that like it made people be more open, like open their eyes to funny like nuances. Like it made actually a lot of white people call their own shit sometimes because they don't want to be that guy. Yeah, they don't want to be the guy they're making fun of in this.
That's 100% true.
But then they turned out to be that guy
every time. But it's also kind of like black culture. Like, hey, there's this guy Carlton who loves Tom Jones.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's like
that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, no, that's cool too. It's like it's playing against the stereotype,
right? Which
is something that it started to in the 90s started to happen. Now, what I'm finding is like even in some of the sitcoms, like we're going back to our stereotype. Like, look at Big Bang Theory. Why did the brown guy in Big Bang Theory have to have an accent? Why? He didn't have to. There's a lot of smart brown guys here. Yeah, born and raised in Canada, U.S.
Right.
Just throw a normal accent on them.
Well, that's the big thing that's happening now with Apu, right? I think the voice actor just stepped down.
Yeah. You see, that's another thing is like there with a lot of these, like especially in the 90s, is they started having a lot more sitcoms that were not white, like predominantly white cast, and like Family Matters, and like you had Tia and Tamara, Sister, and like all these other like very popular sitcoms. Brandy was awesome, and of course I was all into these. These were some of my favorite ones.
These are your favorites?
Oh, some of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, you had all the channels. Yeah, must be nice. I had Hockey Night in Canada only.
That's fair. That's the one channel I was not allowed to watch. That was the one that literally like only came up as like scratching noises and stuff, like white noise.
Literally white.
Yeah, like we canceled that channel. I don't know if you can cancel a channel, but my dad called them up like, this is the channel we do not want on my TV.
Hey, can I cancel CBC?
Exactly. Don't trust those motherfuckers.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So we kind of dropped a few of the big ones. Yeah. Saved by the Bell, Roseanne, Fresh Prince were huge. What are some other big ones that we're missing, skipping over?
There's a couple of them that like were really unique. Like obviously Seinfeld.
Wait,
and like
okay. So this is something I want to talk about. Define sitcom. Seinfeld is a sitcom, right?
Yeah. I would say so.
But to me, it's just so punch heavy. It's so joke heavy. But they did have quasi life lessons. There were kind of no heart.
There was a recurring theme, and as well as with the theme grew and moved from like there was a capability to look back on previous episodes and reference, and as well as move towards future episodes and build.
Yeah,
so I think it was still like a sitcom based.
There's continuity to
Yeah.
it, but it didn't feel cagey like a smart guy would. Do you know what I mean?
Every episode felt like you can walk into it blind and still have a great time.
Yes.
Which is why like I feel like that was such a fundamental genre for sitcoms itself, because it proved to everybody that a theme and having continuity doesn't mean jack shit. As long as you are bringing content that is funny each episode, you can throw wild shit in there and you can pull shit out of your ass.
So that was Seinfeld's thing. They had this thing called what is it? No learning, no hugging.
No learning, no, yeah.
That was Seinfeld's kind of motto, and which I really like. But when I think of 90s sitcoms, I do think of that really emotive family issues.
Yeah.
And 90s sitcoms, I will say something, they weren't afraid to be stupid.
They were
And
not afraid to be
it's
stupid.
so ridiculous, some of the shit they did.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't self-aware. I love everything about them. Now, what is the difference between 90s sitcoms and 2000 sitcoms? Do you like them because of nostalgia? Or do you actually think there's a definable thing that you want to bring to my city? Least we forget, you're here introducing this to my city.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
What defines 90s making it different? Why don't I introduce 2010 sitcoms?
Because at this point here, everything that's being released from the 2000s moving forward, and there's definitely a lot of great sitcoms that have come out, and definitely a lot. I would say some of the best television that you can watch right now. But the problem is that there is so much good television.
Black Mirror is a sitcom.
Yeah,
Can you imagine? Oh, little Johnny's smoking weed. That brings it back to the 14th century.
back then everybody doesn't have cell phones, and
That's right.
can shoot you right in the face.
Yes.
You know, the big difference is that when you're at this point here from the 2000s move forward, or moving into like the current century here and moving into some of the newer stuff that's coming out, is that a lot of stuff is coming out and it is so good, but it's so alike with one another, because everybody thinks they have a winning recipe, and if there's one winning recipe, then they got to follow the same order.
Right.
Which is the 90s is like, yes, there was a winning recipe, but there was, for the situation, and this is the reason why I love 90s sitcoms, is you have to look at the time period that this is coming out. Everything that comes out, you have to look at the release date and the time in which it's coming out with episodes. How can like a sitcom that has like a full African-American cast like try to produce a full episode after like a huge thing, like I don't know, like one of the riots, or even
like after Ferguson,
Yeah.
what would Smart Guy have done?
yeah, like what would they have done? Like what
Yeah.
could they have like, you know, introduced to that? But that's what I'm saying is like for the time frame that they're sending stuff out, for the time frame that they're making episodes, it's pretty crazy to see. It's pretty crazy some of the stuff that they release and the way in which they bring TV to the viewers and the way in which people react to it.
Do you think it brings levity?
I think it brings like not really false hope, and not like I feel like it's almost like a veil.
It's a veil. So this is
Yeah.
what's happening. This is us acting out our feelings, and
Yeah.
you get to sit there and kind of
just
contain it.
you get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Right,
like
right.
like a lot of stuff that happens in the sitcom will never happen to you, or it might happen to you, but the way that it would develop is not going to happen like it does in the sitcom. But that's the part that you love about it, right? That's the part that you know, that's why you want to watch the next episode, because it doesn't happen to you.
Right.
Where are you?
Right.
On the couch watching TV.
Yeah.
You're not doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like it could happen to you, and there you might learn a lesson from it, that the way that you should react, or a way that you can learn from a situation, but it probably won't. But you know,
So you think they're you're almost using them as an educational.
it's an educational tool, as well as going along with like, you know, just it's a piece of culture. You know, it kind of, I feel like every type of piece of culture and art forms you, and if you can watch some of those sitcoms and like become a better person out of it,
Yeah.
why not? If you become a worse person, like there's a lot of other things that can make you worse as well.
What would you do? Here's what I think. I can't tell what I want to do with this. If I had a TV that was playing constantly, okay, in the bank. I have a bank.
Yeah, buy a bank first.
No, I have a bank
Okay,
in the city.
all right.
I'm willing to like install like a big TV that's constantly playing 90s sitcoms.
Okay,
But what sitcoms are we talking about? What ones do you want? What don't you want?
Okay, that's a yeah, I can understand that. That's something that we have to look at. So first and foremost is that you have to take off some of the classics. So, and as well as you have to look at seasons, but we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at what's purely content here. So for sure, I feel like you have to have Full House. Full House is a traditional one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can they can bond over it because no matter who you are, you think Uncle Jesse's hot. I think Uncle Jesse's hot.
That kind of brings everyone together.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's not like anyone out there who's like, no, he's not particularly good.
If anyone says John Stamos is not gorgeous, now Fresh Prince for sure, it's a staple.
That's a staple. That's kind of what I think of first with Roseanne when you say 90s sitcoms.
I want to throw Roseanne in there too, but it's a little bit, see, that one will keep you on your toes, and it's too racy for some audiences.
I'm at a bank. You know, I don't want errands.
I don't want to hear, no, Roseanne.
Right. I don't want Jackie playing pool.
Yeah.
You know, what else?
Well,
you got five shows that'll constantly play at the bank.
I feel like Family Matters. You know, like Steve Urkel was really loved by a lot. I loved Steve Urkel.
Yeah,
I loved him a lot. I thought he was hilarious.
That's right.
Yeah, so I definitely would play Family Matters, and the father figure, I forget his name. I think it was I can't remember his name, but he was awesome in it. He was so funny in it as well. But so that one, honestly, Saved by the Bell. If you could put Saved by the Bell on at any time,
I've always said that. I
feel like you could just watch it on repeat.
Yeah.
And then the last one here, let's see. That one's tough because like this one has to be one that pertains to all audiences. Seinfeld has to be the last factor. How can your day go by? This is what I'm thinking, because you said bank, and the bank part is the best part, because you walk into the bank and you're already pissed off. Because if you're walking into the bank, typically you're not really depositing money. You're having to take money out and you're having to go do something and give some money away. So you're already mad. Now you walk into a bank, the TV's playing, and the only thing that you see is George Costanza standing there, wet from the pool.
Right.
He was just coming out of the pool.
Yeah.
He was just in the pool.
That's right.
We as guys, we all know what that means. Mm-hmm. And then
shirt stays on.
Yeah. And he just, the door opens and someone sees that he was just in the pool. But they might not know that he was just in the pool, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he was just in the pool. He was just in the pool. Things were cold. He got out of the pool.
His penis was smaller.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And what it is you're at the bank. You had a shit day.
You had a shit day.
You had worked at the brewery all day.
Yeah.
You're going to the bank to deposit your bucks, and you look at George's. He has a small penis, and someone sees. Like, that's funny.
You chuckle.
That's funny.
You laugh, and you say, "Hey, I saw that today.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
that's funny."
Instead of whatever they play on TV. What is that?
Yeah. The bank TVs.
Yeah, downhill skiing from like 2010 Olympics.
I go to RBC, so it's just that little man with the blue hat, like dancing.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see that man.
No, I want to see Costanza. I want to see Frank Costanza. Sitting on a piece of pasta. Okay, here's a question.
Yes.
Which of these sitcoms has the best theme song? Because they're all so fun. When I wake up in the morning.
Okay, so the one that you can probably anytime this one plays, you're gonna know it's from this sitcom is definitely Seinfeld. You hear that guitar that
was done on a keyboard. Yeah,
was that? I don't even know.
Yeah,
whatever it was. But all I know is that when you hear that is Seinfeld. So that's the most recognizable. Now,
though, Fresh Prince.
The Fresh Prince is the most fun to sing.
So fun.
You cannot meet a single person that singing the Fresh Prince will not smile or not know most of the words.
Yeah.
At this point, actually, that's a lie, because I talked to a 17-year-old individual the other day in which they did not know who Fresh Prince was and did not know what I meant by making a Fresh Prince reference.
Interesting. Hey,
very saddened by that.
See, that's an old guy thing. You're an old guy. This is what's going to happen to our beloved things. You know that feeling you had where you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know the show I like. Think of like being a veteran and be like, oh, these kids don't know what the war was. It's like the same shit. It's like
we don't know their war.
Fresh Prince is a great theme song. Saved by the Bell is classic. weird rock.
Family Matters is like a different one. Like
I can't think of Family Matters right now.
see the theme song itself was not as crucial as you watching the theme, like opening scene here, because you just see it. I can't even remember how it goes, but I just remember the tune. But I just remember it comes, a panning onto this like row of houses in I'm guessing Chicago. I'm definitely wrong, but and it pans over and you just see like the whole family waving, and then Steve Urkel like trying to get in the house, and everyone's like, no, fuck that. Like,
yeah,
everybody hates you, dude.
You get out of here, Steve.
Like you thought he would get like a hint or two.
Oh,
but
but what I like about this is I think we should start like eulogizing, like, at funerals, you go there's a sad slideshow with Sarah McLachlan of someone's photo, and they're just sitting by birds, and
I can't.
We need to have 90s sitcoms for funerals. Turn your life into a 90s sitcom.
Oh, I feel like all you could do is just put on a theme song of one of those bad boys, and just throw on some of your like sickest pictures. Like I think I'm going to make my funeral eulogy, and it's going to be the worst thing ever. People are going to walk out on my funeral because of the disgusting pictures I put in there. It's going to be like me, like half hungover, like almost puking outside my house.
Oh, this is the TJ.
This is the real TJ, right?
This is TJ.
Not TJ standing by the ocean looking deep into the, the sun.
I like the idea of like having a funeral and it's right proper and sad. You get a huge choir, like 300 of the best people who are choirmen.
Is that what they're called?
Choirmen.
Choir people?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that what they prefer these days?
I don't know. I feel like that's a proper vernacular.
I know. I don't want to share a bathroom with them.
Oh,
so what these people do is when they're about to sing like a beautiful song, like a hallelujah.
Yeah.
As soon as they're about to sing, just a guy comes out with bass. That's how I want to go out, man.
Oh yeah.
I want my last breath to be the Seinfeld theme song.
Oh yeah.
You think this bank idea is good? They have this TV that's constantly looping these 90s sitcoms. What would that do? Is that a good thing to my citizens?
I feel like it's a good start. You get the morale up, and then after that,
you're laughing.
You can take all the rights away.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the TV in the bank.
All right, I'll take that.
If it gets cooking, if the boys are loving it,
let it sizzle for a little bit. Don't throw it right in the oven.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait.
I'm into it.
I'm hiding the sad episodes. Like I'm hiding when Will loses his.
You got to take those ones out.
Right, when Jerry becomes a werewolf in like season 8 for some reason. That ruins Seinfeld when I think about that episode.
I laughed a lot at that episode.
When he comes out of the bus, he's like, just for some reason, it just broke my brain. I was like, this isn't Seinfeld. That's Black Mirror. Seinfeld,
that is.
That's Black Mirror.
They had that one episode, right?
I guess every show had the Black Mirror episode, yeah. All right, TJ. Well, I'm glad you came.
I just wanted to thank everyone for hearing me out here. Definitely trying to bring my case here to each city, and hopefully it starts with this wonderful one here with Evan. And I just want to thank you again for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, TJ. Whoops, there it is. What do you guys think? Did TJ do his duty? Did he bring something that's going to change the city? No. Did he bring something that's going to make us feel bad? No. And that's what it really comes down to. I think he is bringing us psychological levity. Just think about it. You have a place like the bank, which is an institution I know I personally don't care for. So we settle with the credit union, which is fine, but nevertheless, it's still a bank. Now, we may hate the institution, and I think if we're in that institution because we have to be, because we have this social agreement to stay within that construct, then I think what we can do is while we're in here, let's make it a little fun. I think the 90s sitcom idea has its place, and I think that place is in the bank on every kind of TV screen. Let's stop thinking about money for once. Why not make it in the bank? When you're in the bank, you're just enjoying, things falling over people and life lessons that can be taught to you. I don't want to see all this money and all this talk about mortgages and that kind of thing. I can't put a mortgage down and subsidize housing, so we don't really need to talk about that any further. We're going to put these TVs in. We're going to install these TVs, just constantly playing 90s sitcoms. I will review what's kind of fit for the citizens. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm happy with it personally. I'm happy. I'm happy he came. Is it going to change the landscape? No, it's not. But nevertheless, I'm very proud of our city. I hope you guys do well. Keep well. I am your mayor. I'm your mayor.